So we have Jim Kaiser with us. Jim, could you just confirm that's your name and let me know who you're representing here today?
Can't hear you.
You'll need to unmute, Jim. Let's start with Neil Tillo. Neil, welcome.
Hey, David. I'm Neil Tillo. I'm representing Talbot House and Talbot Services. I'm on the board of Talbot Services. I'm an advisor to Talbot House.
Okay, great. Welcome. We also have Emily A. House from the zoning division of the planning department. Welcome, Emily. And Jim, are you with us?
I'm here, Jim Kaiser with Emboss Design on behalf of Talbot House.
Okay, great. Are we waiting for anyone else on the applicant owner side to join us here today? No?
I don't think
okay.
so.
No.
All right, let's go ahead and get started then. I need to read through our hearing script. This will just basically cover the procedure for the hearing and then we'll get into it. So this is the June 26, 2024 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. Case before us today is case number ZH20240066. That's 510 Oak Street. Purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any potential opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any potential opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. So I'll allow Mr. Kaiser and Mr. Tillo, that'll be your opportunity to tell me about this project. Both of you can speak, one of you can speak. However you want to orient that presentation is completely up to you. If there were anyone here from the public, they would have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. I will hear from the zoning division and Ms. A. House to add any testimony in addition to her staff report. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to that testimony that's offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. In the event of any technical difficulties with the Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those issues on the fly. But to the extent there's a defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, we may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay, last thing to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, the zoning code requires that I swear you in. So I'm going to do that now. If that's you, if you could raise your right hand. I need everyone to answer out loud. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Yes, you do.
Great. Thanks, everyone. All right. Who will be taking the lead for us here today on the presentation?
I'll start. I'll start, and then Neil can fill in as needed for what I miss. Quick summary. So Talbot House has purchased the building at 510 Oak Street recently. They're currently located, they have to leave due to expiration of their lease that is not being renewed. So they purchased this facility, which was a former nursing home most recently. They will modify the 4 floors for, as we kind of stated in the application, for a residential treatment and behavioral health treatment facility. There's roughly 4 different types of programs in the facility, 3 of which fall within the program 5 type of transitional housing as defined by the zoning code. And obviously one of those programs falls within a program 6, hence the request for the conditional use. That program is for a residential treatment program for individuals referred by the Hamilton County Drug Court. That facility, as well as a couple of other programs in the building, is controlled as far as access and egress from the building. In other words, there are access control systems on the doors. So those residents in these programs cannot leave freely, other than obviously in the event of emergency. So it is a kind of a controlled program. From that standpoint, it is monitored 24/7 in the facility as well. I really think that's it. I think we do have plenty of parking on the sites as required by zoning. And again, we feel that this program does not provide a detriment to the surrounding area. Again, given the fact that it is monitored 24/7, as well as the residents are controlled as far as their ability to leave the facility. They need to be escorted by staff members. Neil, feel free to add anything that I may have missed, Neil.
Sure. So the facility was, as Jim mentioned, a longstanding nursing home since inception. It was previously used to have detox program in there. Interesting enough, I remember back in the 70s that they operated that out of the nursing home. We have met with the Avondale Community Council on several occasions. We have a good neighbor agreement under draft for their, to finalize with them. We do that in all our facilities over the last 10 years or so. We've gotten good neighbor agreements. We'll be doing significant upgrades to the building, of course, and it has fewer residents than the current occupancy the nursing home has. And most of our neighbors are more institutional neighbors. I mean, Children's Hospital is on one side, the old Bethesda base on Oak Street is across the way. Dragonhood Foundation is next to us. Then it's the old Vernon Manor and Children's Hospital again. There are a couple of UC properties across the street and one apartment building. And then as you go down Reading Road, you hit some of the Civic Garden Center, things like that. So it's a perfect spot for us. And we've gotten a nice reply from the Avondale community. And Talbot has been in operation almost 60 years, operates about 40 facilities around the Southwest Ohio, with the majority of them in the city of Cincinnati. There'll be about 75 employees working in the building. As
Okay.
Jim said, we're less than a mile away over at the old Roman Psychiatric Center. UC bought the building as other intentions, and so both tenants have to move out of the building. So that's why we're relocating.
Gotcha. Okay. Could you say a little bit more about the good neighbor agreement? So
Sure.
what does that include, and who are the people
parties
in the agreement?
The parties of the agreement would be the community council. So basically what it says, it's usually a 1 or 2 page document, David, that says, here's what we'll do. Here's what we're going to operate there. Here's we'll be a member of the community council. We will meet with you on a regular basis. If you have problems, here's what you should do if you have concerns or issues. And it outlines everything on the front end so that we find that, there are always issues with neighborhood issues, and you're better off just having those outlined and having good relations with people. And I'd rather hear that 3 months early than someone get all upset and go public with it, rather than we can resolve something, get some misunderstanding or whatnot. So all the apartment buildings that we build or renovate the last 10 years, any new center we've operated in the last 10 years, we've gone to good neighbor agreements because we think it's kind of the right thing to do to make sure everybody knows. It also takes all I heard that what you're going to do there is this. Well, this good neighbor agreement actually specifies what it's going to do, which is just what's in, what we submitted to the city.
Got it. Okay.
It's really a best practice in my mind. I don't know, Emily may have a thought on that too, but.
Sure. So I may have missed this, but what is the anticipated occupancy level, and how many rooms and beds?
Yeah, it's of course all the bedrooms and bathrooms are already there. We're going to reduce some of those, but I think the current occupancy, I'm just trying to pull it up so I say this right. I think we're going to about 95 beds, and it's currently at 120 beds, somewhere in that neighborhood. I thought it was on this submission here, but I don't see it right off. Jim, do you know that number? I'm looking on the application here because I just read it yesterday when I was reviewing this, but it's a reduction in the number.
I was going to say, I have in my notes, I don't know that this is accurate, but I have an email that said it was approximately 133 now, going to 91 beds. So it's somewhere in that realm, at least reducing beds.
I thought we were about 95 beds and it was 130 or something. So that's about right. So a reduction in density, more supervision, more programming, more security. We operated over at the Burnett site for 24 years without any incidents, the same programming. We're just moving it a few blocks over and opening up one new service for the city of Cincinnati, which will be a kind of a crisis receiving center. There are people who are out in the community who have challenges, and the police don't know what to do with them. So they're going to have this receiving center. They're going to drop off, and they're going to be stabilized at this site for 24 hours and then determine what the next step should be for them, rather than having just be out in the community and on the street, so to speak.
All right. I think that's all the questions I have now. I think I'll turn it over to Emily see if she wants to add anything to the conversation here.
Yes, so our staff report had a more detailed analysis of the requested conditional use. As the applicant noted, the majority of the use in the building is a permitted use, which we've classified as Transitional Housing Program 5. So this is just for the adapt component of that program, which is operating on one floor of the building, which we've classified as Program 6. So everything else is permitted by right besides this specific program. The proposed renovation will reactivate a vacant building that was most recently in a similar use in a residential nursing care facility. It is reducing the bed count from the previous use. The zoning code required parking is being provided. We have not seen any demonstrated adverse effects from the similar residential care facility that operated on the site previously. And there are no significant changes to the site or the exterior proposed. It's really just interior modifications. We are also finding that this is in the public interest, as there is a public benefit in the provision of the structured living program for men involved in the criminal justice system as they develop the skills necessary to reintegrate into the community. And we have seen some demonstrated issues while the building was vacant, just in vandalism and the fire department requesting that it be barricaded. So we do see this as a positive impact, returning the building to use rather than vacancy.
Okay, great. Emily, did you say that only one floor is going to be the transitional housing type that is not permitted here?
Yes, and the applicant, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what was noted in the materials.
That is correct.
Right.
So it's a minority of the building, but because it is a change, we have to come to you because it's program use 6. 1 through 5, we were already in compliance with because of just the way the area is zoned.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Emily. Jim and Neil, anything in response to her comments or in closing or otherwise before we adjourn?
No, just that, we've been one of the premier providers in the community for many years. We approach things rationally and try to be good neighbors, whether it's an agreement or anything else. Working with the community council and community development organizations in the city. And as Emily said, I think this is a good use for the facility. And if not this, I don't know what it would be used for, and then it would just become, an eyesore for the community. So we appreciate the support that the staff give, that Emily's group has given on this, and think we're ready to move forward. It'll take us about 8 or 10 more months to get it open, but we'll get on as soon as we have all the approvals. Jim,
Yeah, I have nothing further to add. Thanks, Neil.
Okay. But I think we'll leave it at that then. I want to thank everyone for their time and their testimony. I have had a chance to review the application materials and the staff report. I'm familiar with the area. Based on all of that, and the testimony that I heard here today, I am going to approve the application. Need to formalize that approval in a written decision. I mentioned at the beginning that typically takes about 2 weeks. As soon as I finish that decision, I put it into a PDF and I'll email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. So you'll have it really just moments after it's complete. And at that point, Emily can approve the zoning permitting on her end, and hopefully you all can take the next step.
Thank you both very much.
David.
Also, let me just make a comment. This has been the most expedient city hearing I've ever been to. You guys are scheduling in by you got your own time, all that sort of stuff. Kudos to you guys for getting this really much easier for the consumers and city residents to use. So just thank you for making that change. I remember sitting in hearings for 2-3 hours years ago where you didn't know where you were on the agenda, you didn't know when it was going to be, handled. I remember being in front of Marion at a hearing, about 10 years ago, and it was down in Central Parkway, and I waited, I bet, for an hour and a half just to get my case heard. And so I'm glad you guys have gone virtual and gone to specific times for people. So thank you for doing that.
Anytime I hear I'm doing something more efficient than Marion, that's a good day for me.
Tell him Neil said that, will you?
I definitely will. I promise you. Yeah, no, part of that was honestly just a natural byproduct of COVID and just having to do things remotely and rely on technology a little bit more. So it sort of forced us to be a little bit more efficient. But I really appreciate that feedback, and yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, thank you. Appreciate the approval, and we'll wait to get the written